You know, I respect everyone's opinions, but I just have to say, you no. Let me ask one question. You're really into Quidditch, right? I like it from time to time, but you really are painted.
You're talking to a Russian. We love our Quidditch.
Yeah, I couldn't put my finger into where that accent was. He puts his hand. Hi, I'm Juan de la Rivera. Like
Roxana
this because
Schwitz.
they're nice to meet you.
So, your accent sounds foreign too. You're not
Oh
from around here.
no, this is far away from my homeland. I'm from Mexico.
Ah,
Yeah, the country with the best cuisine in the world.
well, I have to admit, I have never tried it.
No, you haven't
No,
tasted the magic that it's a taco.
nope, just beetroot soup.
No, no. We can't let that. Look, everyone can make a taco. Let me explain it. You just have to get a tortilla, okay? You know what that is. Yeah, everyone knows what a tortilla is. So,
Oh,
you have a
okay.
tortilla. Nope. Then you get meat. It can be pork, beef. It doesn't matter. Just put it in the tortilla. Some lemon juice, some salt.
Okay. Um, I have a few questions. Question number one: what the hell is a tortilla? Question number two: you put the beans in your food?
Okay.
What is wrong
Question.
with beetroot? It's
No, no, no.
delicious.
I don't know what that is. I can't explain what a tortilla is. A tortilla is an experience in and of itself. It's.
How do you eat an experience? You're making no sense.
I'm making no sense. You've never
Absolutely.
tasted a tortilla. You're the one that's not making sense.
You are a strange little boy. You know that?
Okay, yeah, I am.
You know what? They say admitting is the first step.
Yeah, I am. Did you know what? You're not that like normal either.
I take offense to that. How dare you? She's got a smile on her face, by the way.
You're painted with Quidditch paint. I mean, that's pretty hardcore for me. I'm not that into sports.
Well, I'm
And you've
not the
never tasted
same.
a tortilla. I need to remark that.
Okay, fair enough. But you know the old saying go hard or go home. And we Chevets live by that.
Okay, I'll give you that. Have you started magical school yet?
Next year,
Which school?
called dumpster it's obviously.
Called.
What about you?
Uh,
Have you started?
yeah, I have. I'm a first year in Wagadu, the African school.
I would think you would go to Ilvermorny.
Yeah, I got this. I I don't want you to think I'm weirder, so I won't tell you everything that happened. But
Trust me, you couldn't make me think you're any weirder than you are right now.
okay, I'm gonna win you at that. I had a dream where a monster came out of a lake and said to me, "You have to take a rock out of the pond." I took it and wake up, and that was supposed to be my acceptance letter into Wagadu.
Okay, I have two questions. So, the rock came out to bit you in the dream.
Yes, I have it here. I said, and then he goes into his pocket and shows the rock. This came out of a dream.
Huh, interesting. Question number two. Uh, what relevance does the monster have to the dream?
Uh, uh, I don't know. The monster was talking to me in my mind, so I think. You know what? I've been talking about my weirdness too much. Come on, you tell me something about Koldostrovets.
Uh, it's in Russia.
Okay,
I
that's
haven't been yet,
yeah, I
and
know.
I don't care to talk to my sister. And
Oh, you have a
so,
sister.
oh yeah, she's over there. It's the uptight-looking one. Hey, Natasha.
Aaron, Natasha, she's right now paying very little attention to the game, but very much paying more attention to this gentleman, this boy that she's sitting next to, and she seems very enamored with this male person that she's speaking to at the moment, and it seems like the male is like eating up whatever she's dishing out to him at the moment.
Oh, she looks nice.
Roxanne is just gonna like, she's looking over, and then she's like,
No, that's not what I meant. She looks like a good person.
she starts laughing. Yes. Very good, very good. So you want to know more about Kodostorit?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just that in my house we don't get to like know too much about other schools. All of my family has gone to Ilvermorny, so it's when I got accepted to Wagadu, it was a really big deal. So I really don't know. All of the schools that I know are Howard's, Ilvermorny, Wagadu, and now Koldostrovets.
Kodostorit.
Koldostrovets.
Are you mocking me?
No.
Okay, just checking. She's like, you probably wouldn't notice, but she's clearly like just messing with you. she'll go like, she'll be like, "Well, the school itself is in the sea.
In the sea.
Yeah, half of it is under the water, and half of it is above the water.
Whoa, that's really cool.
It's very exciting and very cold. It's in the Siberian Sea. Lots of snow.
Oh God, I get cold when there's a winter in Mexico.
Does it even snow in Mexico?
Like, I think up the north, where I am, there's not.
Well, no offense, but I don't think you'd last a day in Russia. There's snow everywhere.
I know. I bet you I won't. It's, at first it just seemed really wild, but you're a really cool person.
Get to know me first, Juan. Then we'll see what you think.
Okay, now that scared me.
I'm just messing with you.
When do you think the game is going to start?
I have no idea. They are taking forever.
At this point, just as you were saying that, you hear the announcer begin to speak up and start to get the team, the crowds going, fired up. This person who is speaking is Ludo Bagman, and the crowd starts cheering on as the two teams, the Bulgarians and the Irish, enter into the Quidditch field and fly around. And for those of you who've read the books and seen the movie, you pretty much, I can fill in all of the cool things that happened. Victor Crumb is definitely a big favorite in the crowd, and everyone is cheering. The game is intense, and so you and your respective families are enjoying themselves. And at the end, the Irish team is victorious, defeating Bulgaria 170 to 160. And when the game is over, everybody's going to, start returning back to the grounds to celebrate or to have dinner with their families at the tents. I'm going to say, just for convenience sake, that maybe you, Juan and Roxana, decided to just hang out a little bit. You kind of got to know each other while watching this game. You've had more conversations, and it's around just before you guys are about to have dinner. You're probably going to have like a late dinner, and you might be like talking about the results of the game. And as you guys are talking the results of the game, I would like for both Roxana and Juan to roll observation rolls for me, please.
Oh, I wonder what this is.
What are we going to see?
Roxana and Juan, you're just kind of walking around the grounds when all of a sudden, Roxana, you feel something bump into you, and it takes you by surprise. It doesn't hurt. It just kind of really takes you by surprise. But whatever you ran into or bumped into you, like, must have been your imagination because you don't see anything. And shortly after you bumped into whatever it was, there's this little house elf that's running around frantically. It looks like she's looking for something, and she's just kind of running by. It's a little bit weird to see a house elf just running around with a puzzled look, but she just happens to like run by, and if you don't do anything or say anything, she's just the house elf will continue running by.
Well, there. What's the rush?
Nothing. She doesn't like make eye contact with you. She says, Winky's just looking for something. Sorry to bother you. And when the little house elf who calls herself Winky runs off.
That was weird.
Han is going to be like, whoa, she looked really bad. What do you think gotten into her?
Her master probably wants something. She probably has to hurry back, or, well.
Yeah, I hope everything's okay.
You hear a explosion coming from relatively close to you as one of the tents bursts into flames. You see several of the mages or wizards and witches who were in the tent start to rush out, coughing. Another explosion as another tent goes up into flames. Another explosion and another tent goes up into flames. And you begin to see these hooded, masked figures trampling through the grounds, and they seem to be the ones casting all these spells that are setting all of these tents on fire. There's utter confusion, utter panic. People are starting to run all over the place. Again, this is all happening in within 30 seconds of time. What do you do?
I'm immediately after the first big explosion, I'm grabbing Skylar's and Carlos's hands and start looking around, trying to see if I can see my mom, while yelling, "Come with me!" And
I don't think you can see your mom at the moment.
I'm doing more or less the same, and I'm following him, staying close to him.
I'm like, okay. He gets really nervous, but he just tries to calm himself. Okay, so we run.
Yes, I second that. Let's go. We need to find our families.
Yeah, and he starts to run to far away from the masked figures.
I follow.
Trying to see if he can remember where his tent was, to see if he can find his family. And while he's doing that, he's going to tell Roxy, "Where's your family?"
Your tent is actually relatively close to Juan's. They're not right next to each other, but in the same general area. So my question is, do you both go to your different tents separately, or do you go to one person's tent first together?
I'm just gonna grab Juan and his brothers and sisters, and I'm gonna say we need to get somewhere safe as soon as possible. My tent is close. When we get there, we stay put. Okay?
I'm gonna say, okay, let's go. While
Follow
he's saying
me.
that, he's thinking, okay, I'm gonna leave my brothers there. Hopefully she doesn't murder them. I need to go look for my mom.
Well, does he say that aloud, or is that
No,
said?
he's thinking it.
I've got him by the shirt, and I am dragging him with me.
Yeah, he's following you.
Yeah.
All right. You rush over to where your tent is. Again, there's utter chaos. And as you get to the tent, I'm going to say that you can hear screaming coming from your tent. And Natasha's saying, "Mother, why can't he come have dinner with us? He seemed really nice at the stands."
I'm going to burst into the tent and I'll say, "There will be none of that. We're under attack."
What? You can see both your brother and your mother and your tent. So you're. This is actually not surprising, but you can probably deduce that your sister was screaming so loud it drowned out all of the chaos that was happening. She was having such a tantrum that they couldn't hear the explosions that were happening outside of this tent. And she says, "Roxana, stop being so overdramatic. This is not about you. This is about me!"
He's gonna run up and probably interrupt us through that sentence and like put a hand over her mouth and says, "We need to go. And if you don't get moving, I'm going to drag your ass out of this tent. Let's go."
So you'll drag her away. Your brother and your mother will follow suit. And when they come out and they see the dark mark in the sky, your mother sort of like cups her face, and your brother looks up and he's got a very like stern look as he's seeing the dark mark up there. And she looks around and she says, "Where's Bartholomew? Where's your father?"
I have no idea. I haven't seen him. He's not here.
She says, "No, he said he went out to go talk to some friends."
Well, this is happening.
I mean, I know where he went, but like Roxy doesn't.
Yeah, Diego is going to be like, "Okay, that's not too far." I'm going to like go quickly with Roxana.
Can I
and say,
grab? Oh, I thought you were gonna.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna grab
No, not yet. I'm gonna like take their hands and like give them to you and like take care of them. Sky,
Three
Carlos,
boys.
I have to go find my mom. And he starts to run.
She probably springs after him and says, "Come back here!" like screaming after him.
You run as fast as you can, and as you're running, you actually almost trip over something. And when you look to see what you tripped over, it's actually a face-down body. There's a face-down body of, it looks like a young boy, but you don't know who the boy is because they're face down.
At that moment, I'm gonna stop running and just like I go down. I grab the body and like try to like.
You move the body over,
You have to see the face.
and the body shows the lifeless face of somebody with sheer terror locked on their expression. This is the same boy that Natasha was flirting with over at the stands. The exact same one.
Okay.
Probably only no more than 14 years old.
Okay, at the sight of that, of someone so close to him, being not close, but close in age, that someone that could be him or one of his brothers, he is going to scream, like he's going to start to freak out, and then he's going to get his priorities straight and run back, trying to get back where Roxy was.
So you're gonna run back to where Roxy was, and by this point, I'm gonna say that Alexander has gone off because he told Roxana that he's gonna go look for their father.
She wouldn't have moved because she's responsible for the kids, so she would have stayed put.
Yeah.
But she probably would have protested and said, "Don't come off." But yeah.
Alexander's will say, "I just need to find him," and he will just run off. And I'm gonna say that Skylar is like clutching onto your arm. He looks absolutely terrified. Carlos is a little braver, but you can tell that he's very, very unsettled and very scared. And he says, We need to find my mom. We need to find my mom.
She's going to kneel down and she's going to say, "All right, little doves. Your brother is going to find your mother. Nothing bad will happen to you as long as you have hold of my hand. Do not let go of my hand. You understand?"
They'll nod.
Good.
And it's at this point that Juan returns back.
I'm like,
Without the mother. Oh, God.
oh god, yeah. At that, when he comes back and he sees that his brothers are still okay, he will run, hug them, and like start crying. He's hugging them like without talking, just crying.
Where's Mama? Where's Mama, Juan? Skylar asks.
No, don't worry. He will try to like take the tears out of his face. I couldn't find her, but I swear she's alright. She can fend for herself, and so can Ivan. But I need to take care of you. Of you guys.
Roxanne is motioning to you, like,
I'm like, okay, guys, stay calm. I have to talk very fast. And he will like, what happened? Where's your brother?
he's going to look for my father. He'll be fine. Look, we need to go. I'm sure your mother is fine, and your sister and everybody else. I'm sure they're fine.
Yes.
We have to get the little doves to safety. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
And he will again grab his brothers by the hand, and we'll be like, okay, so where's the closest place to safety? We can't run to with the crowd, because I bet that's where the masked men are going to go.
We stick together in this, much as I hate to suggest it. We should all link hands, probably, to stick together.
Yeah.
She will cringe and offer her hand to Natasha.
Natasha, for the first time, actually is realizing what's happening. It took a while, but she's like noticing that there might be something that's a little bit important to this boy that she wants to have over for dinner. So she like reluctantly takes it, and she's like a little bit she's almost in a catatonic state right now, because she's still like processing everything, and this doesn't look real. Like her perfect world, the way that she wants it right now, has been disrupted, and there's nothing she can do about it right now, and that that really is irksome to her.
When
she doesn't know how to behave.
When she notices this, she's gonna like kind of sigh and just squeeze her hand a little bit harder.
Okay. She will follow you all as you make your way to safety. And then you see a green spark appear like in the distance, and the green spark starts to shoot upwards, up into the sky. And as soon as it reaches the top of the sky, almost like a green firework, you see a big explosion. And from the explosion, this gigantic shape that looks like a skull with a long tongue emerges from it. The whole chaos suddenly does end abruptly as it started, and you can tell from the blazing fires that many of the tents have been leveled with the destruction by the Death Eaters, and families are all like rushing around trying to find each other, trying to reunite. You see little children that are asking, "Have you seen my mom? Have you seen my dad?" It is a very, very horrible scene, especially after such a delightful game. Suddenly, you will hear a cry of a woman cry out, Juan, oh mijo, thank goodness. And you see a woman and a younger girl as Esmeralda and your sister with Ivan running behind them. And she will run over to the boys and she will clutch them. "Oh, thank goodness you're all right. I was worried sick."
I'm gonna be like, Mom, you're alright. He's going to hug her.
"I told you, Mom," Anna Maria says, "that Juan would protect them. Didn't I tell you, Mom?" She just isn't really 100% paying attention. She's just very, very teary-eyed. Ivan also still has his wand out because he still doesn't trust what's going on. And at this, at shortly after, Alexander will come back, and he says he looks at Roxana, and he's got a very solemn look on his face, and he sort of just kind of shakes his head without saying a word. He just shakes his head when he looks at Roxana.
She approaches slowly. You didn't see anything?
He's about to say something when you hear Vartholome's voice call out behind you, Justinia! And so he interrupts your brother about to say something, and Justinia shrieks, Vartholome! Oh my goodness, thank God you're safe. And she runs over to him and gives him a clutch, and your father also holds him very tightly. And he says, it's all right. Everything will be all right. Everything will be fine. And he's like cuddling close to her, and then he's looking at both you and Alexander. And the look, he sort of looks at you very briefly, and then he looks at Alexander. Roll an observation, get an advantage. Roll an observation, get an advantage.
Good luck.
Roxana.
Good luck.
Based on this look that he gives to Alexander, you have a feeling that Alexander did see something. You don't know what that something is, but you believe that your father is, the way he's looking at Alexander, they seem to have this unspoken understanding that whatever he saw, he should keep to himself. Whatever he saw, he should keep to himself.
I'm going to look at Alexander, and I'm going to give him like just this very stone hard look, as if to like let him know subconsciously, like, I know you saw something, but I'm not going to say anything.
He gives you a look back without saying anything, and again, he just gives you a lingering look back, and he then walks over to your family again, and he walks over to your dad, and your dad like takes a hold of Alexander and clutches him tightly. And Alexander has this, again, the expression on his face, it looks very conflicted. Like, he's happy to see his dad alive, but for whatever reason, the expression, even for him, anyone who was watching this as a third party would think he'd be a lot more excited to see his father alive and well. But there's something that he saw that's very conflicting for him. And we're going to end the scene there. So.
I mean,
Alexander, Jesus.
we went
no.
from, yay, let's go to the movie, to
Yeah,
let's run from. Let's run for.
Can we jump to our movie scene now? Yeah.
Everyone, roll initiative again.
I just have to say, Roxy, you were incredible.
Yes, you too, Clef. That was so much fun. Like the stand conversation when he's like, all right, tortillas, you know what that is? And she's like, no, I don't.
All right, moving right along. Roxana. So.
God, here we go.
It is September of 1996. This is the beginning of your third year. You're hanging out with Toby right now, and he said, Roxy, we're the third years. We're almost halfway through our school years.
Exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're as popular as ever. It's so cool.
Yes, it is. Helps a great deal. It does.
Do you have any classes you're looking forward to?
Well, I like the curse class. It's fun. Curses and jinxes.
Curses. That sounds right up your alley. I was never that great at them myself. I'm not that great at casting a lot of spells, because when you're trying to speak the spell, it's hard. It took forever for me to get Leviosa.
I think you're doing just fine, Toby. I think you're doing great.
Roxana Schvetz. One of the professors, Professor Svetlana Praskovia. She is approaching you, and next to her are two gentlemen. The two gentlemen are dressed in these white suits, which is not typical of a wizard, but they're wearing these very clean white suits. One of them has very dark complexion, and one of them is olive-skinned. And she turns to the two gentlemen and says, "Gentlemen, this is Roxana Schvetz. Roxana, these are two gentlemen from the Ministry of Magic. They wish to speak with you."
Oh, but I was having so much fun with my friend Toby. Isn't that right, Toby?
Toby looks very, very nervous, and he just kind of nods without saying anything. And she says, "Roxana, follow me. The gentleman assured me that this would not take too much of your time. They just felt the need to speak to you."
What is going on?
"They won't tell me. It's classified, apparently."
Ooh, classified. Very well.
Yeah, so Svetlana Praskovia, you have a very interesting relationship with because of all your pranks.
Yeah,
she normally is the
okay.
person that has to discipline you for your pranks. So you can tell that this situation, she's not gonna have it or tolerate it because this is the Ministry of...
She won't push it too much. She's probably gonna.
Yeah,
That's
probably
fine.
not a good idea to push it too much. So because she gives you a little bit of a... When she gets really upset at you, she pulls her shades down slightly and gives you that eye, now's not the time, Miss Vets, kind of thing. So she will actually turn to, as the people in white start to walk down the hall, and she will follow them. And before Toby leaves your side, he says, "You know who they are?"
Yes, they're ministry pen pushers. I'm sure it's fine.
The white suits, they're the AMRS. The AMRS. Roll a knowledge history, please, Roxana. The RMS is the Accidental Magic Reversal Squad. Is a division of the Department of Magical Accidents and Catastrophes responsible for reversing the effects of magical mishaps caused by inexperienced witches and wizards, those who had not learned to control their magic, or those who may not have been very skilled. A lot of people here are meant to be obliviators, because they specifically are the cleanup crew that essentially comes in to obliviate muggles so that they don't remember bizarre things that have happened in front of them. And the two gentlemen that are with Svetlana Praskovia is the one on the far left and the one on the far right. So they take you into a room, and again, these people in suits are very stone-faced. You might try to crack a joke, but they're not.
Yeah, I do.
If you do, you can tell that they're here for a very specific purpose, and they want to get things done efficiently and quickly as possible, in and out.
Yeah.
At least that's what you're gathering from them. And they'll take you to a private room, and Svetlana Praskovia will nod towards them, and she says, "I will be right outside, Miss Schvetz," and she will leave.
And she'll call out, "Love your work, Professor," and sit down, sort of relax, slumping.
The one of them, the one that's pictured on the far right, starts to speak, and says, Mishvets, my name is Norman Kara. This is my colleague, Ethan Marcus. We work for the Accidental Magical Reversal Squad. We're just here just to ask you a few questions. And I'm going to have to apologize ahead of time. The questions might be very uncomfortable. But I assure you that the only reason why we wish to ask you these questions is for the safety of all wizards and witches around the world.
Look, if this is about the Boyle's curse I put on that student, I swear to God, learned it in class.
The other person in suit, Ethan Marcus, says, I wish it was that, Mishvets. I wish it was that. But it's something a lot more uncomfortable, I'm afraid. Mishvets, you are the daughter of Varfolomei Shvets, correct?
Aye.
Has your father... Have you noticed any changes in his personality over the years? Have you noticed him acting differently, especially recently? I would say for the last 2 years or so.
Why don't we just cut to the chase? Yes? You tell me why you're here, and I'll answer your questions.
There have been a few reports. He takes out a file that's in wizard parchment, and he lays it out to you. Eyewitnesses that says that they have seen your father dealing with some unsavory deeds. To put it bluntly, unsavory deeds in the name of you-know-who.
Excuse me? There must be some kind of mistake.
Hopefully, yes. Our job is to determine the truth. We're not here to try to point fingers at anyone. We're just trying to uncover what did or did not happen.
I would like to speak to my siblings, please.
He says you definitely can speak with them as well. We're talking to them one by one as well. But for right now, we're asking you these questions.
Who have you spoken to first?
We've spoken to your sister. She didn't know anything. Of course she didn't know anything. Your brother will be next. He says, I should remind you before you say anything else, Mishvets, that it is against the law to interfere with the investigation of the ministry. And if we discover that you are not being truthful or cooperative with our questioning today, the consequences might have to escalate up to the wizarding law at the ministry.
All I know is he goes away sometimes. That's all I know.
Do you know where he goes?
Business stuff. He's rich for a reason. He has a job.
Can you tell us about an outing that you all had a couple years ago during the Quidditch World Cup? You remember that time?
Like it was yesterday.
Can you vouch for the location of your father during the event, starting from when the mark appeared in the sky to after the Death Eaters left the premises?
I mean, I assume he was looking for us.
So he wasn't with you during that time?
Well, no, but he would be looking for his family. Yes? Wouldn't you think?
That's very fair. We were just hoping that he had some sort of alibi, but it doesn't seem like you're able to provide that for him.
The truth is, no, I cannot vouch for where he was. No.
Is there anything that you can tell us about your father's general character?
He loves his family. stern, yes, but he loves us. I do believe that. So I'm gonna tell you something. He's up to something, I know he is. I don't know what. But something doesn't sit right with me. And whatever Alec tells you, if it aligns with what I say, then of course he's telling the truth. Just be careful with what he tells you, and please don't blame him. He is a boy. We are all children, and we love our da. I can't say if he's working for he who must not be named for sure. All I can tell you is he's up to something, and I don't know what it is.
I believe you, Ethan Marcus says. I apologize, Miss Fetz. I know that this is, like I said, an extremely difficult situation, and the last thing we want is for somebody's own children to do or say anything that it could incriminate their own parents. But you also have to understand that we are trying to look after the safety of everyone, not just your father.
Of course, my name won't be in any paperwork, will it?
No.
What I said won't be revealed to my family.
Family will know nothing about our conversation. Nobody in your school will know anything of our conversation. This is just between you and us.
If that is the case, then I believe these rumors, whatever they are, I think they might be true.
You understand, Miss Fetz, the consequences if they do turn out to be true. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for that, and that your family is prepared for that.
I cannot speak for my family, but I'll bounce back. I always bounce back.
Ethan, Marcus, and Norman look at each other, and they said, I think we took up enough of this young lady's time. Agreed. Again, we're sorry, Miss Fetz, that we took up your time. And if there's anything else that you can think of, if your father reaches out to you, I'm not asking you to tell us, but if your conscience tells you to, we would love to know where his whereabouts is.
You'll be the first people I tell.
Nobody seems to know where he is now.
Ah. I see.
Thank you again, Miss Fetz. And with that, they will open the door and let you through, let you free.
I guess I go to find Toby.
Okay. You'll find Toby, and he's gonna be like in the library, and he's like looking at his runes books. It looks like he's studying up for a test or something. And as soon as you walk towards him, he looks up to you expectantly and says, How did it go?
Oh, it was hunky-dory. We eat cakes and drink tea. Talked about each other's mothers. It was lovely.
Really?
No.
Really?
No, Toby, we did not. And she'll sit down next to him.
Why did they want to talk to you? We're just kids.
Kids who are privy to a lot of information. I knew it.
Knew what?
I freaking knew it. I knew he was up to something ever since that day.
Who?
My father. They were asking me questions about the Quidditch World Cup.
I remember that was before we started school here. You didn't seem to want to talk much about it when I asked how it went. I thought that after what happened, it'd be best not to pry or push.
Well, there's not much to tell other than it was horrible. There was fire and screaming. But then we got out. There was nowhere to be found. Illic ran off to look for him. And when he came back, there was something in his eyes. Something I didn't like.
What do you think? Do you think he's hiding something?
Alex saw something. Something Dad did. And I'm gonna find out what he saw.
Okay. I'm not sure what exactly is happening, but I'm sorry, Roxy, that it's happening.
It's okay.
Oh, if you need anyone to talk to, I mean, you've got so many people who love you, but you can always talk to me. I have, even if I wanted to tell someone, they probably wouldn't stick around long enough to hear it all, right? Because it would take too long.
Oh, Toby. She'll put a hand on his shoulder and she say, "Why did you think I came here first?"
Thanks, Roxy, thanks.
All those people who like me and like to be my friend, they're not you. You're my friend. My one true friend.
And yes, friends forever, he says, and he holds up a pinky.
Oh, call back. She'll put up a pinky and she'll say, "Can you promise me something?
Anything.
No matter what happens with my father, you'll still be my friend, right?"
Yes, of course. What kind of question is that?
Just checking. Because I imagine when all this is done, a lot of people won't want to be my friend.
Well, then, like you said, they weren't true friends to begin with.
Exactly.
Well, just whatever you're allowed to tell me, just keep me up to date, and I'll do everything I can to help. Right, Albion.
Jesus.
Oh, things are getting real. Albion. This is the summer of 1995. You are 13 years old. You're about to start your first day of classes for the year. So, right now, your parents are away, and the only person that's at the house taking care of you at the moment is your housekeeper, Ellis Englewood.
Was 1995 before or after the scene with Levi? Just in my head.
It was the same year. I don't know if it's the same.
It was the
month.
same year, so it's after that scene. You had actually just recently come back from the Ministry of Magic in London.
Okay.
And actually, as your this is like the day before your first day, and Ellis Englewood comes in, and he says, "Master Albion, I have your school clothes all pressed and ready to go," and they'll sort of hang up your robes on a hanger. At this point, your robes are not yellow yet. Your robes currently are green.
Thank you, Ellis. I can always count on you.
I try to do what I can to help the family. By the way, Master Albion, if you don't mind me asking, How was your trip in London?
Yeah, it was all right. Time with dad is, well, time with dad. You just never know how it's gonna go. But it could have been worse, I suppose. I'm glad to be back.
Was there not anything interesting that you saw or did while you were in the ministry?
Well, it was nice to see the Ministry of Magic in London. It's growing up in London as a child and not getting back there much. It was neat to see pieces I hadn't seen before. But I mean, it was typical politician stuff. Met a few of Dad's coworkers, and I did hear an interesting conversation. I didn't realize that in Hogwarts they don't accept non-human students. Did you know that?
He he actually thinks for a moment, and then he says, "Actually, I'm embarrassed to say, Master Albion, that I never really thought about it. Is that true?"
Yeah, I guess there was a family that had a son who was a leprechaun, and they were trying to get him into Hogwarts. But I guess according to the law, Dad said it wasn't going to happen. But then there was another guy who mentioned Castle Brucho, and they were going to get working on that. So that was nice to hear. I never really thought about it though, seeing as and out of character for a second. Does Mahotokoro accept non-humans?
Not traditionally.
Okay.
Not traditionally. I think Castello Brucho is a very, very specific case.
Mm-hmm.
And he will say, well, if I remember correctly, leprechauns are technically magical beasts, although that sounds like a very barbaric way of classifying them. It was really only recently that people like merfolk, half merfolk, were considered to be allowed to attend schools and other things like the rest of us humans. But I suppose the same thing could be said about elves, house elves going to school, goblins going to school.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I never really thought about it too much.
Yeah.
Maybe I should.
It's just, I guess it's unfortunate because if they're not, a danger to others, then why are they not able to join in the same circles of education or society or whatever the rules may be?
That's a very good question. Maybe that's something you should take up to your father.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed open to working with the other gentlemen, and it's good to know there are some schools that are, I guess, a bit more progressive. But
as he's finishing up tidying your room a little bit, he's sort of dusting some of the furniture. He says, "I also wanted to ask you, Master Albion, be honest when I ask you this. How are you feeling about all of the rumors that's been going around with you know who?"
I can't say that I'm able to just forget them like I like to do with most political things, but it is a little concerning. I mean, Dad seems to think that things are okay, but as you and I both know, he's really good at putting on that happy face and trying to push things under the rugs when they're not so great. But I'm not so sure. I'm curious to see what some of my friends and other professors at school think. They probably follow it a little more than I do.
Well, keeping things under control is part of your father's job. Your mother, however, she's seen a lot of things in her line of work, as I can understand, so she might have a bit more insight in that particular climate.
Yeah, I've been meaning to ask her about it, but with being back and forth and her being busy, and we just don't always get the time, unfortunately.
He will nod and say, "All right, Master Albion, I think I'm done here. I will be the one to see you off on your first day tomorrow morning, so get a good night's sleep, and I will have breakfast ready for you."
He will bow. "Thank you, Ellis."
Is there anything else that you need from me this evening before I go to attend to my quarters?
Hey, just as always, I know you will, but please take care of Nanatsu while I'm away.
Yes, your cat. Is it he or she?
She.
She will continue to live the life of luxury, just like she always had at this household. We all know who the most important person is here, don't we? He says, looking down as the cat starts to make its way into the room and jumps up onto your bed.
But keep her out of the garden, because last time she was there, she kind of made a mess out of the one section. And if you could just, keep her out of there, I'd appreciate that.
Your cat says as if in protest.
Poor cat.
With that, he will smile, and the scene there will end. However, we will fast forward a little bit into that school year. It is the fall now, same year of 1995. You are in herbology class.
Yay.
And right now you are pruning some sort of magical plant at the moment. And currently you happen to be sharing this class with Asa Takahashi. So you're sitting next to each other. You're probably like lab partners, I guess you could call it. So you're trying to prune this plant, and while you're also pruning this plant, your Asa is just gonna be doing like small talk as well, and she's gonna say, "So, Albion, what do you think about all the things that Harry Potter has been talking about? Many people think he's gone crazy on the deep end and is just trying to get attention."
I don't know. I mean, something about it's definitely off. And I mean, I guess he could be doing all this for some more attention, but I mean, he has had some pretty bad things happen to him in his life. So I feel like that's attention enough. So why would he just make all this stuff up? I don't know. I feel like there might be something there. What about you?
That's a very good point. I'm keeping an open mind, but I also don't think that it's worth us panicking and going into hysterics.
No, I don't think so either.
On the other hand, Nico, he seems to be ready to sign up for war. He's always been a bit of a go-getter, I suppose. I think he's getting a little ahead of himself, if you ask me.
Yeah, go-getter is probably putting it a little lightly, but at least he's capable when it comes to most things like that.
She continues to snip more of the plants, and like I said, you're working together. Her arm subtly rubs up against yours a little bit. Rubs up a little bit against yours as she's like pruning the leaves, and she doesn't say anything when she does this.
I think, would he know if it's purposeful or not? Should I roll a check?
Roll an observation. Okay, so you've been very close with both of the twins. You've been very good friends up to this point. You kind of have noticed that now that you've gotten older, that Asa has seemed to want to try to spend more and more time with you lately. And she's not typically that touchy-feely of a person, but you've kind of noticed her being... So it's unusual when she is touchy-feely. It is noticeable because she's not normally a touchy-feely person. She seems to be particularly touchy-feely with you, noticeably more than her other male friends.
Okay.
So you can probably deduce something. I don't think you've said anything to her about this, but
Okay.
just to let you know that it's happening, and she doesn't seem to notice that she was rubbing her arm against yours a little bit.
All right. So I think he would try to maybe deflect away from that, but in doing so, he'd probably watch her snipping, and he'd probably notice maybe she was doing something slightly wrong or not maybe the best way that he knows. So he would actually probably maybe grab her hand to like show her how to do it, like on top of hers, not realizing he might make the situation worse.
Oh.
But he's just worried about is she snipping or pruning it the right way.
Oh god.
She goes, "Oh," it's a little awkward, and she says, "Thank you, Albikun. Thank
I
you.
wanted to make sure you were doing it right. If you snip it at that angle, then it's not going to grow quite as well.
Oh, of course, she says, and she's just blushing a little bit. How silly of me. I probably should have paid more attention.
It's okay. That's what I'm here for, right? You help me in the other classes, and I help you with this one.
She tries to force a smile and continues what she's doing. And when you guys are done, it seems like your project was a big success. And one of the other kids sort of gasps and says, Albicun, look, your robes. And you look down on your robes, and you can see that your robes start to change color to yellow. And Asa, her eyes go wide and says, Albicun, your robes, they've changed. Congratulations. Yes, congratulations, Albicun. Sensei Hideo Kumura says, and the class starts to applaud. This is a extremely amazing moment for you, Albion. I hope that you are very proud and honored by this.
So I think this would probably embarrass him even a little more than her bumping him. So his cheeks probably turn a little red at this point, and he gives his very polite nod as he always does, and he probably whispers to Asa to the side. He goes, I can thank you for a lot of this, because outside of herbology, you're the one that gets me through some of the other stuff.
She says, that's very sweet. We're welcome, but this is your achievement. This is all about you, not about me. And I have to say that the yellow, it suits you very well.
What color are her robes at this point, out of character?
Asa's robes are red. She has red robes, so she's pretty high up there.
Okay. So he might then, when she kind of puts it back on him and tells him to take credit, he might then smile and say, well, you better be careful, or else I'll soon be caught up to you wearing those red robes.
She says, I feel that I've been in these red robes forever, but one of these days, I just know that I'll make it into the silver robe soon. You just wait.
He says, I've no doubt.
Maybe if you continue pointing out everything that I'm doing wrong in herbology, that'll be just the push that I need.
He said, in that case, I might have to interrupt you. He smiles. It's a joke.
She'll chuckle at that, and you'll continue your class. After class, you guys are walking together, and you're going to walk by there's like so the school is built into a triangle, and there's like a field in the center, and you can see that the Mag Fu Club is currently practicing. So they're doing their forms. Mag Fu is an art that is practiced in Asian cultures, which is a form of wandless magic. So they believe that magic comes from chi, from within, and they are actually use what many muggles know as traditional martial arts techniques to actually be able to cast magic without the use of wands. And so it's a lot of training, both mentally and physically, as well as spiritually, to become one. So a lot of people join this club to try to enhance themselves through mind, body, and spirit. Many of them are able to perform maneuvers and techniques mostly for defense. There are a few offensive things, like they can cast Incendio with their fists, also known as Hadouken to muggles, Hadouken. And right now, these people are training with these special wands. It's actually two wands that are attached to each other by a cord-looking thing that looks like nunchaku, And so that's like one of the only traditional wands that they do use in Majfu, and they're sort of like doing all these nunchaku maneuvers, casting spells with them. And there is one particular girl who is training that you have definitely noticed around school because she's very well known. This is Chesa Jing. She is very well known because she was one of the very, very few first years who ever had her robes turn gold. That is super rare, that she achieved gold level robes within her first year. And so there she is with her golden robe, so it's really like hard to miss her. And she's going through these forums and she's trying to help teach some of her classmates some of these techniques. And Asa is like in awe of this girl. She like looks up to her. She thinks she's just one of the coolest people at the school, and she sort of points out to Al, and she says, you see her? I want to be just like her soon. Those gold robes look beautiful.
So out of character, is Chesa the same year as them, or she's not still first year, is she?
Chesa is actually a year below you.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. I believe she's a year below you.
So I think then he would say, don't worry about it though. You're still one of the highest robes around here, and look at me. I just now got yellow today. And everyone has their own pace, and if you try to rush it, you may miss out on some stuff. I have no doubt you'll get to gold.
She says, "Thank you. It's been my goal to reach gold, at least well before our last year. I think you might be able to achieve it too before your last year too."
We'll see about that. But like I said, why rush it? We're here to learn, and if it takes some people longer than others, the important thing is that you're trying your best and mastering the things you're good at.
While you're having your conversation is suddenly interrupted when one of the students sort of yells out to you and says, "Asa-chan, Albi-kun, come quick! Something's happened." And Asa-chan looks very curious, and she asks, "Something good or something bad?" "I think bad." And Asa will go follow. I don't know if Albion follows too.
Yeah, I mean, are other people going, or is it just was that
Yeah, several of the students are also going, and you can start to hear like some screaming, like as in like not in pain but in distraught, like somebody like teary-eyed and crying. Several of the students have started to gather a little bit to see this scene as they see this student being kind of dragged. She's getting really hysterical. Some of the teachers are trying to calm her down as they're like escorting her down the hallway, and you can see that her robes are bright white robes. And this girl, she's been a couple of your classes, and she seems to be like one of the quieter ones, very kind of keeps to herself, and she kind of screams out and says, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. It was innocent. No, please don't tell my parents. Please don't kick me out. Please don't kick me out. And she looks absolutely terrified and very panicked. And many of the students are sort of like, her robes are white. Poor Ming-ji. I would never have thought. Oh no, I knew from the beginning. I pegged her as being someone who would turn white one of these days. You shouldn't say things like that. Well, it's true. I'm not surprised, and a lot of the kids are starting to gossip a little bit.
I assume this wouldn't be common, right?
No.
Especially for children.
Yes, it's not very common. You have actually seen another case where somebody's robes had turned white, but they weren't like hysterical about it. They sort of like accepted it. They were like, I did it. It was my mistake. I have no one to blame by my own. I'm a dishonor to my family. Like, they were very, like, self-deprecating of themselves because they know what a disgrace this would be. And this girl, however, she's very much not taking it calmly at all, and she's making a very big scene about it. And she's, like, pleading them not to tell their parents, but that's just the rules of the school. They have to inform their parents if they did something like this, whatever they did. And so now all of the kids are asking, what do you think that she did? Do you think she was practicing dark arts? Do you think that she was do you think that she cheated on several of her tests? I don't know. Asa looks very, very horrified by this, and she says, oh, I can't imagine what it would be like to be in her shoes. Oh, I think her parents are going to kill her.
Did you know her well?
She says, we had a couple classes. She seemed nice. She struggled a bit with some of her courses and asked me to help her, and I did, but she got very frustrated, and I guess I wasn't able to help her enough.
So out of character. So the robes can turn white, obviously dealing with dark magic. So is it just any sort of dishonor? Like,
yeah,
cheating?
Cheating is probably the most common thing. Yeah, so they're very strict in Mahoka about, like, general honor and integrity and, like, behavior, and so definitely doing things that results in you cheating is very much a no-no and is not tolerated, 100% not tolerated at this school.
All right. I guess then at that point he would, and still talking to Asa, he would be like, well, I hope it wasn't anything serious. I mean, we all understand the pressures put on us to do well, and he kind of gives her a knowing look because he knows she puts a lot of pressure on herself. I hope it wasn't anything more serious than that.
There's nothing wrong with trying to push yourself to be the best you can be and get your full potential. But I guess it got to her too much.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it until you cross that line, and clearly that it could have been what happened here.
She will frown a little bit, and we will end the scene there. All right, Levi, you are back in London again. The time now is June 24th, 1996. You are 13 years old still. So if you remember correctly, Levi and Al met each other in the summer of 1995. So this is a year later, in 1996. And during this time, your first year at Castello Brushu was 1998.
Yeah.
So this is 2 years before you go to school. So you're still being homeschooled right now. So you're in London. Right now you're in the car, and your father is driving in the driver's seat, but your other father, Joe, is riding in the passenger side, and you're in the back.
There he is.
Ooh.
There's my friend Jake.
I'm a big fan of Joe Lionheart personally.
Joe is bae.
So Joe Lionheart is Levi's Muggle father. Before you guys get into the car, Joe is sort of greets you that afternoon, and he's like, hey Levi, and he's sort of giving you a little
yeah, he does
playful
the same
kickboxing
thing. Yeah, he bobs and weaves a bit. Yeah.
How's it going, man? You ready to go see the movies?
Yes, Father. What movie are we watching this time?
Anything you want. Any movie you want. I don't remember what the movies were back at that time, but
yeah,
you can make something up.
Toy Story looks fantastic.
That's a great choice. That's a really great choice, he says. You'll start to get into the car, and Hunter is going to be there and says, all right, kids. I can see you guys are very excited. And your other Joe sort of gives your other dad like a playful punch on the shoulder, and he says, "Oh, come on! This is a great time for the three of us to have a nice family evening together."
It's been so long since all three of us have been together like this.
I know. I'm sorry, Hunter says. There's just a lot of stuff that's been going on at work, and Joe says, "Well, just for once, just keep work at work, and just enjoy yourself, Hunter. The three of us, we don't really get to be together during this time. Let's just focus on having fun." Joe, you're right. My apologies. This is family time. I will just put my work away and get back to it later. Yes, that's the spirit. Isn't that right, Levi?
That's right, but Father, did you ever end up locking up that man that you had that case for?
He said, yes. It was a little messy, but yes, they will have to serve several years in Azkaban.
Well, I mean, if they deserve it, they deserve it.
So, Toy Story. I heard that the reviews are really good for that movie.
Yes, I hear they're 4 out of 5 on IMDb. I just want to say, out of character, I totally nailed it. 1995 Toy Story.
Nice. So you guys are driving, and you're crossing the bridge, and you sort of hit a bit of traffic, and there's a little bit of a backup, and your dad is saying, hopefully we're not going to be too late to go to the theater. The really sunny day suddenly starts to get overcast and very, very dark, and your Joe looks up and says, "Oh, well, that's odd. Wasn't supposed to rain or anything today. Very bizarre."
It rains all the time in London. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about.
When you say that, for those of you, of course, when I'm throwing all these dates out, I don't know if people are looking up the significance of these dates, but you start to hear the sound of metal screeching.
I'm looking around a bit. Is it coming from the car?
Doesn't seem to be coming from the car. You hear more screeching, and everyone in their vehicles seem to be wondering where that sound's coming from. It's really, really weird. And then you physically feel as the bridge shakes slightly. And then another... What was that? Earthquake? Joe asks. You begin to see through the sides of your window these wispy, dark shapes starting to zip around, to fly around. And everyone in their cars are looking out, and they're really, really confused. And then you hear another snap sound as you see the wires that are holding up this bridge, the Brockdale Bridge. The wires that are suspending this bridge starts to unravel. And before your eyes, you catch a sight of these people appearing out of nowhere from these clouds of black smoke, these hooded figures with masks on. And one particular figure that appears actually doesn't have a mask, and he's very, very hairy. He's sort of like, his face almost has like a wolf-like appearance to it, almost like a wolf-like appearance. And several of the citizens start to shriek out in terror as the bridge starts to shake. And you can see in front of you that the bridge is starting to collapse, and several of the cars in front of you starts to fall down as the bridge is collapsing into the water. And very quickly, Joe turns to Hunter and says, I think we should get out of the car. I think we should get out of the car as well. And they will come out. Levi, let's get out. Let's get out.
Get out of the car.
You start to get out of the car. Joe will help you out. At this point, again, there is panic and chaos as all of these people are coming out of their vehicles trying to run away off of this bridge. And because it's so panic, people are screaming, somebody trips over and actually starts to get trampled by all of these other people. And there's a lot of confusion. And there's a big wave, this big blast as some magical force lifts up the car in front of you and gets thrown over the bridge, with several people still in it, and you and your fathers get to a point where there's all these people that at some point you get separated, and there's another big blast as another vehicle gets raises up into the air and almost slams down in front of you, Levi, during the confusion. And I'm going to say that one of the figures comes down in front of you. This is the maskless guy that's really hairy. He's got a big wand in his hand, and he's points it at your direction. Are you going to do anything?
I will
while he's doing this?
try to scramble to get out the way.
And he sort of says, "What do we have here? We've got ourselves an albino." He sort of tells some of his friends, 50 points for anyone who can get that one.
Oh, I'm running.
Run, dude.
Zigzag.
Feel it.
You're gonna run,
Snake
you're gonna
formation.
run, you're gonna zip through the formation, and several people, you walk over some people, there's people who are bleeding because they've either been trampled on or whatnot, you don't know what's going on, you still can't find your parents, and at some point, you reach a place that is really hard to get around because there's like a pileup of cars, and the hairy guy takes his wand out and he tells the rest of his group, "Too slow! Avada Kedavra!" This big light, big green sheer of lights comes hurtling towards your direction, Levi.